It's FYF Sports, man. It's Lamont here, man. Back. We got another podcast video. We're going to be breaking down today's NBA games. I know everybody just got through watching those games, so we're just going to recap those games. Before we get started today, make sure you guys like, comment, subscribe, hit that notification bell. Again, we appreciate everybody that's subscribed so far. Again, we just trying to grind to 10K. Once we get to 10K, that's when we're going to start doing our live shows. So again, if you don't want to miss those live shows, make sure that you go to Facebook, go to NBA GOAT Talk, the Facebook group. Make sure you join that group because, again, we're looking to get 500 members in that group. We're also looking to get 10K subscribers here on YouTube. And once we meet that goal, that's when we're going to start doing our live debates, our live things of that nature once we get started. But again, we look forward to having a really good show today. We got a guest here. We got Jayed, man. He's going to help us get some insight on some of these NBA games today. Again, he's just going to bring a different perspective like we always do. And then we're going to start off, with the first game of the day. And the first game of the day, man, was really interesting. It had a lot of ups and downs, man. I'm not even going to really talk too much about it. You guys don't know much about Jayed, so I'm going to go ahead and let him talk about what he saw, and we're just going to kind of break it down from there, what we liked, what we didn't like about the Utah Jazz and the New Orleans Pelicans. That was the first game of today, man. Jayed, what'd you think about it?
Well, first things first, I thought it was very interesting towards the end, especially seeing the box score and seeing how Brandon Ingram's shot, went in and out. But at first, you could see that a lot of players were definitely trying to get comfortable, trying to feel their way out of it, throw off some of that COVID rust. But all in all, I thought it was a good game. Slow at times, sloppy, but it was a good game. I was definitely impressed to see that the Jazz came to play, especially knowing that the Pelicans were, they're fighting for an opportunity to play in the playoffs. And it seems like a lot of people want them to get into the playoffs. So I'm definitely excited to see with them missing Bogdanovich.
For me, the main thing that I saw, the tell of the tape, was the problem that the Pelicans have been having all season long, and that's finishing games. When we look at the first half, Pelicans had a good first. They outscored the Jazz in the first quarter, second quarter. The third quarter was fairly equal, but then they got outscored by 10 in the fourth quarter. That's been the tell of their season. Again, but that comes with having a young team. That's one of the things that you got to learn how to do. Whether you have Zion on the court or not, you got to be able to finish games. You got to be able to finish games again. And, if you don't look at the score, if you just watch that game, it looked as if the Pelicans were winning the whole game, and they gave it away at the end. We can take a look at the box score here. Some of the players, basically what we saw in the fourth quarter was we just kind of saw Donovan Mitchell take over with his playmaking ability towards the end of the game. Those guys had a really good game. Royce O'Neal, I think he did a good job filling in for Bogdanovich. Donovan Mitchell, obviously, with 25 and 5. That was solid. Rudy Gobert started off slow with a little bit of foul trouble, 14 and 12. That was solid as well. I don't know if this was really the surprise of the day. We had talked about Jordan Clarkson, kind of being that go-to player off the bench with 23, 5 and 3. I think that he was the difference maker in this game. They really didn't have a player that could guard Jordan Clarkson off that pick and roll. What they constantly did over and over is they just spammed that pick and roll with Rudy Gobert and just created bad matchups for the guards. And even Mike Conley at the end of the game was able to get to the basket. We're going to look at the Pelicans stats, man. Obviously, Brandon Ingram had a great game. I love what I saw from him, especially early on. I hate the fact that they just continuously kept taking Zion out. He never got rhythm, but when he was on the court, he was their most efficient player. Again, he had 13 points in 15 minutes. I don't like the fact that he had 0 rebounds on the day. I would have loved, and that can be a testament to his conditioning or his legs not being there because he didn't get the practice time he needed. But the players that we needed to show up, Derek Favors and Lonzo Ball, they definitely did not show up, at least on the scoring end. Lonzo was able to play make a little bit, but he got himself into foul trouble and he kind of took himself out of rhythm. And then toward the ends of the game, he was almost a defensive liability because he looked like he was playing defense, like he was trying not to foul because of the foul trouble that he was in. So I think again that is just about youth, learning how to win games, close games. That was definitely a game that they should have won. And when we look at it, this is they're going to look, if they don't make the playoffs, this is definitely going to be a game that they look back on and wish they could redo that fourth quarter. But again, these are the growing pains that come with a young team, man. We're going to, that game was a great game to start off the NBA, the official NBA restart. But the big time game of the day, the prime time game of the day, it was the Los Angeles Lakers and the LA Clippers, man. That was the big time game of the day, and it didn't disappoint, man. From start to finish. Now I had picked the Clippers to win. I had picked the Clippers to win this game, and they started off extremely sluggish, man. They started off extremely sluggish. Got outscored by 12 in the first quarter. They let LA score 35 points in the first quarter. That ended up being the primary difference in the game. What did you like about what the Lakers did in that first half? And what did you not like, or were you even disappointed in how the Clippers came out in the first quarter?
And so I was really just knowing that this was going to be just a feel-out game for the Clippers at the end of the day. But what I saw out of the Lakers, I just liked how they were really trying to get Anthony Davis involved from the jump. Because at the end of the day, I think LeBron knows that team will go as far as Anthony Davis wants to go. I'm not saying, LeBron isn't important or anything like that, but LeBron is very aware that he has a big advantage. He has arguably one of the best talents he's ever played with, especially somebody who's a game changer on both ends of the court, can literally shut down your your best offensive player, and also come down and give you 30. You know what I'm saying? And then he's shooting the ball the way he is. That's just a nightmare matchup at the end of the day on both ends. So I think I really just liked how they got Anthony Davis involved. That was one thing I liked. You could definitely see LeBron was trying to play himself into the game. He didn't look in shape. Not necessarily in shape, but he just didn't look very in game shape. Like he's really ready to play. You saw him fumbling a few times with the ball, trying to just feel his way out through the game. I would definitely like to see him a little more aggressive attacking the rim, but that could be part of him just missing a step for a little bit. Not by any means. I mean, LeBron missing a step is not a bad thing because he's still LeBron at the end of the day. But you could just see that he wasn't really all the way there, especially today. And that was the same way the first game that they played against the Clippers. He played his way into the game, and at the end of the day, great players want to do what they do. He closed the game out, so that was something I liked. The sluggishness for the Clippers, I wasn't surprised. I mean, I was more surprised. I'm more so. They got two very laid-back, humble players. At the end of the day, when you look at that Clippers roster, they got two players who really who really kind of let the game come to them. They don't really show too much of their emotions like that. They just come, they show, they play ball, they lock you down, and they'll give you 30 at the end of the day. So I wasn't really too pressed about them being down early, because those are two dogs at the end of the day that are going to come in and give you and come in and contribute and really keep your team in the game. I think it just showed us how important Lou Williams and Montrez and even Pat Bev being in the lineup is, because they were playing guys Reggie Jackson, of course, who's a quality starting point guard, but they were playing him much longer. They needed him as the third scoring option. They're just trying to find buckets any and every way. They had guys like JaMychal Green stepping up. And I think the Morris twin, he didn't really contribute as much as I thought he would today. I think that was a big knock, but I don't think that's going to happen the next time they play. So if we're talking about the result and the first half and everything, I'm not too surprised. I think I kind of expected this. It was definitely weird watching it at first, but then towards the end of the game, it felt like a real basketball game. At first, I was like, man, this bubble basketball ain't really kicking it for me. But I started to rock with it towards the end because it felt like a game. When you saw Paul George hitting them threes and the guys getting hyped, you could kind of hear the players talking a little bit more, chirping. It really started to feel like a game. So that's one thing. I think it was just a lot of nuances for a lot of people, again, playing themselves back into shape for being off for 3 months, 4 months almost. So it was just a lot of new things happening, and when there are new things happening, you're gonna expect for there to be sluggishness, sloppiness, turnovers, little bits of that. I really honestly think 8 games isn't enough, but we're gonna have to see. They're gonna have to make something shake. So yeah, I think it was a great first game to especially seeing them two play. It was a good kickoff to the bubble. So yeah.
No, I like the game today, man. I just after seeing the scrimmage games, the Lakers did show me that they are a little bit more locked in than they thought. J.R. Smith definitely didn't look ready today, but again, with Caruso, he came off the bench, gave him some good minutes in the end. Especially at the end of the game, he had a really clutch defensive stop. So if guys like that can come in and do their role, the Lakers are going to be tough to beat. But they just look more locked in. The Clippers look like a team that they would look like a good team with no chemistry. A lot of their points came off ISO plays or isolation sets. Nothing felt organic, and that's only because guys don't know how to play each other. I heard one of the commentators during the game say that this was the Clippers' 29th different starting lineup. And that, even for a good team, I mean, you may be able to beat some bad teams or average teams like that, but when you're looking at one of the elite teams in the NBA like the Lakers, I mean, if you don't have that chemistry, then you're not going to win. And I saw it on a few plays. I saw a couple turnovers where they're just throwing the ball into empty gaps, thinking guys would be where they were supposed to be, and guys weren't there. And that comes from knowing players' tendencies. I think this might have been Reggie Jackson's second start with that group. Again, they're missing key guys: Montrezl Harrell, Lou Williams. Shamet didn't look the same. He couldn't make a shot. His legs weren't there. It just looked bad. The Morris twin, I don't know where his mind was. He had some open looks that he just completely missed. His defense wasn't there. He wasn't locked in today. So it just definitely shows with the Clippers that chemistry and just not being fully prepared can get you into trouble. Beverly started the game off just getting in foul trouble. Towards the end of the game, he did play a little bit better, at least offensively. Defensively, his legs just weren't there. He couldn't really attack or get up into people like he normally does. So that was the tell of the tape today. But as far as stats-wise for the overall game, the Lakers really dominated that first quarter. That gave them the cushion they needed to go ahead and win that game. Now, Paul George did have 30 points, 35 and 3. Kawhi Leonard had 28. But it surprisingly, the Clippers known for their bench. They had the best bench production in the NBA this year. The bench did not show up. The only player off the bench in double figures was Patrick Beverly with 12, 1, and 1. And what I was disappointed most with was Doc Rivers never went back to Joakim Noah. Joakim Noah actually had a really good he had a really good first half. Now, you didn't see it in the points, but his production and energy and effort was there, and he never went back to him. So I don't know if it was he's worried about saving his legs, but for Joakim Noah to only play 10 minutes that game with what he did in the first quarter, that was surprising. It looked like they chose to go with JaMychal Green with his shooting for the rest of the game, but
and Patterson.
Yeah, Pat Patterson as well, but even combined, those two guys only gave you 13 points. They weren't giving you the defense you needed. At the end of the game, we saw LeBron get to the basket easy on JaMychal Green for an easy layup.
Yeah.
Reggie Jackson, I don't want to say he struggled, but he had some critical turnovers in the fourth quarter there. Like I said, without some of those key bench players, Montrezl Harrell, Lou Williams, without their guys being fully prepared, Shamet and Beverly, they don't look like the same Clipper team, and they definitely look like a team that does not have any chemistry whatsoever. So hopefully, man, hopefully that can change tomorrow. That I really want to see if that can change the next time they come out. But these games are really essentially they're all meaningless for the top two seeds in the West. The seeding doesn't necessarily matter. What's up?
One thing I'll definitely say, if I'm Doc Rivers, I'm actually going into this kind of like in a good mood. Not necessarily, I'm not taking moral victories or nothing like that, but you are missing a lot of key components. And to see the Lakers scrape to get this win, and I'm not saying the Lakers are at full strength either, but I'm taking a lot of positives away from it. One being that Paul George looks very healthy. He looks very much ready to play basketball. You know when that shot is, and you know when that shot is going down, that's Money Man P. So that's a good take from that. Then, Kawhi Leonard, who was struggling throughout them 3 preseason games, he looked like he kind of got it going a little bit. His jumper's only gonna go up from here. And then you get Lou Williams and Montrezl Harrell back. So at the end of the day, this is supposed to be quote unquote the best team in the West. They just scraped by with a win. And Anthony Davis kind of gave them one of the best showing we see from Anthony Davis. Not necessarily defensively or anything, but I'm talking about from the 3-level scoring that we saw from Anthony Davis as far as knocking down jump shots and stuff like that. And we haven't thrown all the bodies that we can throw at him yet. So I think if I'm Doc Rivers, I'm kind of going into this like it's only up from here. You know what I'm saying? And yeah. I think there's way more growth that the Clippers can do than the Lakers. At the end of the day, the Lakers, their positive is that they got a little bit of bench scoring from Dion Waiters. That was a big upside today. I think that we haven't talked about.
Now, don't you think that I got the sense that even in the first half, even when the Clippers were down, it felt like they were struggling to find any rhythm. And at the end of the day, the Clippers were in the game the entire time. So it felt like the Lakers were playing some of their best basketball while the Clippers were playing some of their worst basketball. But they were still in the mix. They were still in the game. So I think that could be a problem for the Lakers if the Clippers actually find some consistency or rhythm. Because they were playing extremely bad basketball today. ISO basketball almost on every single set. I don't think that's going to cut it. But, again, once they get their horses back, I think they'll be good.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I think it's only up from there. And like I said, I think their upside is if they're clicking on all cylinders, like that's a nightmare for a lot of teams, and I don't think the Lakers have the firepower to really stay with that. So yeah, I think they're gonna be fine, really and truly. This was kind of what I expected. So yeah. Another thing I want to say though, we got to give some credit to that man. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to LeBron, man. We definitely critique his defense. We definitely critique him really hard. He didn't have the best game, and I was ready to come on here and talk some trash about him. And I don't even talk trash about LeBron, but honestly, shout out to him. The last 3 defensive plays, he really locked up, man. He especially that last possession. Last possession to end the half on Kawhi Leonard. And then he played that last possession to end the game. He shut Kawhi Leonard's drive down. Then he switched on to Paul George and contested the shot and forced Paul George to start his offense with 7 seconds left all the way out of the half-court line. So if any coach will tell you that's a great defensive possession because he switched multiple times and he had them starting their offense way more extended than they actually wanted to. So I thought that was very impressive to see. It just showed a little bit of competitive edge from him, and that's definitely something we need to see more of, him playing defense. I think at times, you can see that he's lost a step, guys kind of driving past him, but when it comes down to it, I've seen him lock up a few times this year. So it looks like he's taking a bit of pride about it. He's definitely showing us that he still kind of got that ability to play good defense. And I'm not talking about just the chase down blocks or those shooting the passing lane steals. I'm talking about actually sitting down on your man, sliding your feet, and really getting down and locking up. So I thought that was very impressive to see today, and I definitely got to give credit to where credit is due. Guarding two of the best scorers, that we've seen in the league. So yeah, So yeah.
Yeah, I liked his defense today. I saw that in a couple, especially in the fourth quarter, some possessions where when the shot clock was running out, he pressed up on Paul George, made him make a bad play, and then at the end of the game on that last play to be guarding Kawhi and then to switch off and then to be guarding Paul George, and he that was two crucial stops in one play. So that just lets us know he still has his legs, he still has his game, and then a lot of times we just take him for granted. One thing that I was definitely disappointed in today, and this was across both games, the one thing that I was disappointed, I hope the NBA can get this cleaned up just a little bit, but I thought the reffing of these games was kind of bad. The refs they started the games off. They didn't call it consistently. Normally, you will find refs, they'll call a consistent game. If they're calling these calls in the first half, they'll call the same calls in the second half. And I saw that it almost got the sense that they were changing up how they reffed as the game went on. So there were calls that they were making in the first half that they weren't making in the third or even in the fourth. And it just looked, to me, it looked like even the refs were a bit rusty in live action that actually counts. Hopefully,
I got this question for you real quick. Do you feel like the refs might have changed up the way they ref because of them now being a gym where there are no fans to really yell at them and kind of dictate? Because at the end of the day, we know refs are people, and they're going to hear stuff. They hear stuff from fans. They hear the crowd go, boo, and they try to make a makeup call or something like that. And they try to go for a home court advantage. There is no home court advantage. So do you feel like the refs are now reffing kind of how they want to ref?
Yeah, it changes the game. It changes the flow of the game. Again, you don't get those. There's no such thing as home team fouls now because, again, the refs don't even get the sense that there's a home team, especially when you're dealing with two of the top teams in the league. So this is why I feel like playing in this bubble is going to lead to more upsets because, again, it's just going to be more balanced across the board. And I think one of the top 4 seeds are going to go down in one of the first or second rounds of the playoffs. And
I think we're going to see more sweeps. I think that's definitely what we're going to see because there's no home court advantage.
Yeah. No, go ahead.
Did you hear me?
Yeah, go ahead. What'd you say?
Oh, I just said I think we're going to see more sweeps. I agree with you that we're going to see an upset, but I think we're also going to see more sweeps. Like, because, home court kind of will those, like, role players on, where we see them, a role player drop 18 and, he have a big game, hit some threes and stuff. Where you get guys like old guys like Jared Dudley messing around and playing fairly good, feeding off the crowd. Guys who feed off the crowd aren't really going to be able to do that as much because they're just in a gym where there's this fake noise. You see the fans. They're like real fans, but they're kind of like not really there. So it's not really going to hype up the players as much. Now it comes down to who can really ball. I feel like at the end of the day, I do feel like we'll also see some like people, as we quote unquote will say, like practice players. We'll see some of those players like kind of show up. People who, we know kind of fold under like the bright lights.
Right.
They might end up playing well. So this is gonna be really interesting, man. I'm slightly excited. I think today's games made me a little bit more interested. At first, I was definitely down in it. I was watching the games like, man, this is kind of lame, like the pace of play and everything. But it's gonna be a little interesting, man.
Mm-hmm. I liked it. I liked the games. I kind of like the flow of them, and obviously I miss having the crowd noise and that atmosphere. That there's a home team and there's an underdog. But again, it's NBA basketball. We gotta take what we got. It's better than nothing. And so that's gonna take us into tomorrow's slate of games. So we got 6 games tomorrow. First game of the day is gonna be the Magic and the Nets. We're gonna have the Suns, the Wizards, Grizzlies, Trailblazers. That's gonna be that marquee matchup that I'm gonna be looking at. We got the Celtics and Bucks. Again, another great marquee matchup right there. 2 great teams in the East. We got the Kings and the Spurs. And then we end the day on, it's probably going to be the most exciting matchup of the day with the Rockets and the Mavericks. Again, I look forward to another great day of basketball. Which one of those matchups intrigue you the most? And what player do you think is going to stand out the most tomorrow?
Matchups that intrigue me the most, I think.
Just one matchup.
I think dang, that's kind of tough. I think I'm more interested to see. Speaking of this though, like just real quick, wouldn't it be crazy to see the Mavericks versus the Clippers first round? I'm just saying that'd be a little crazy, you know. But I think that's gonna be the Thunder falling to that spot. But anyway, back to my marquee matchup. I think the marquee matchup is probably gonna be that Bucks and Celtics game. Even though the Bucks are missing Bledsoe, I think it's still gonna be a great matchup because we're gonna get to see some Giannis action, see how locked in he is. You know, see if he's improved more, which is crazy to say, but we definitely all know that he can improve some more as far as like his skill and his technicality. But see if he's knocking down jump shots and stuff like that. Jason Tatum, he's somebody that's impressed me this year. I think he's taking a step. So yeah, and I just want to see that matchup because that's a potential Eastern Conference matchup. I'm not saying that's my Eastern Conference pick, but that's potential. So
right.
No,
go ahead.
Or the finals matchup. So yeah. I think that's gonna be real interesting, man. And this has some implication. Maybe not as much for the Bucks, but the Celtics are still trying to play themselves into a second seed, and I know they don't want to be in that fourth seed.
No, I like the Grizzlies. I mean, I like the Celtics and Bucks matchup again, but even with that matchup, even though it's two great teams out of the East, again, these are two teams that are guaranteed playoff spots. My matchup of the day is going to be the Grizzlies Blazers. The winner of this game is you can put the other team at a serious disadvantage, and because again, you can jump up so much, you can create that separation that you need that could actually be beneficial once you get towards the end of this 8-game run. So I know the Grizzlies Trailblazer matchups between two teams that are trying to get into the playoffs, that's going to be highly competitive. That should be a shootout. The Grizzlies didn't look that well. They didn't look that good in the scrimmage games. They just looked like they were slow. I thought as a young team they would come out and play a lot better. The Blazers, on the other hand, played extremely well, and they have all of their horses back as well. So with Zach Collins back, with Nurkic back.
But Trevor Ariza is going to be a big.
Trevor Ariza's out.
Yeah, he's going to be a big missing piece.
Well, it doesn't really hurt him as much, primarily because now they've moved Melo to the small forward, which he looked better there. And when you got all that defensive help. Now when you got Zach Collins, a 7-footer who can play power forward or center, and you got Nurkic in the game at the same time, when you got two 7-footers in the game at the same time, that's going to make up for a lot. And even with Trevor Ariza, he wasn't playing up to expectation with the Blazers so far anyway. So I don't think that's going to hurt them as much, especially when you got some of those newer guys that they brought up from the G League that can kind of make up for some of that the defensive lapses that CJ and Dame have all the time out there on the perimeter. But I think it's going to be an exciting matchup. We know the Trailblazers struggle to guard the perimeter, and the Grizzlies got one of the best point guards in the league. So that's going to be an interesting matchup going into tomorrow. But what we're going to be doing, I want you guys to make sure that you are watching for our next video. Next video is going to be another FanDuel video. I'm going to be breaking down my FanDuel picks for tomorrow. So again, if you're a fantasy sports player, make sure you check out the next video that's going to be dropping in the morning. So again, if you with the game starting at 11:30, you're going to want really make sure that you check in with our fantasy sports video. Check out our FanDuel picks. If you want to follow our tips and strategies. What's up, Jad?
Oh, I said 2:30 Eastern time.
Yeah, 2:30 Eastern time, but again, because I'm on the West Coast. But again, check in early because at the end of the day, if you're playing fantasy sports, you want to see what's going on early so you can get your lineup set. And then, if things change, if players aren't eligible, if players can't play due to injury or sickness, then you can make adjustments later. But we'll definitely be posting that video tomorrow. But again, this has been another great video. I appreciate Jair for stopping in with us today, helping us out with this NBA recap. 2 great games today. Looking forward to seeing all 6 games tomorrow. Looks like it's going to be another great day of basketball. Magic next game is going to start the day off. And if you guys want to tune into that game, I'm probably gonna be doing a show while that game is playing, just kind of breaking down what I see during that game during the show. So again, if you guys want to jump in those comments and let us know how you feel about these games, just let me know. Hit us up on Instagram or Twitter if you want to be a part of that show as well, and we can get that set up for you. But again, it's been another great show. Jad, you got anything you want to say on your way out?
Nah. I mean, I'm happy. NBA's back, so I'm a happy camper. Oh, and Black Lives Matter.
Hey, it's FYF Sports, man. Been a good episode, man. Make sure, again, you like, comment, subscribe, hit that notification bell, grind into 10K. And it's FYF Sports, and we out.